Good morning and thank you for joining with me. Last week we spoke of sermons, and I'm going to talk of an incident that happened in the life of Jesus, and more sermons have ever been preached about this one than anything else. Late one night a fellow came to Jesus. His name was Nicodemus, and he said, "We've seen you do some pretty impressive things like turning water into Chardonnay at a wedding reception, but what I want to know is, what am I going to do to get what you have?" And Nicodemus's first words actually to Jesus gave him away. He said, "Rabbi, we know." What exactly does he know? He thinks he has God figured out. He thinks he knows about people, but something has confused him, so he comes to Jesus looking for a formula. And Jesus tells him he needs a complete change, an overhaul. Remember those summer days that were long and hot and it never rained and the tar melted and you needed butter to get it off? Remember those long hazy days of summer of your childhood that seemed to last forever? You would lie down in the grass for some peace, and the leaves of the trees would rustle, laughter would die down, and you would enjoy the summer breeze. We didn't know where it came from, but we enjoyed it. Or days I remember when I would cycle from Kilbarchan to this very place in Ballard to Loch Lomond, and we would stop, warm and exhausted, and the cool of the wind would rustle our shirts and give us strength, maybe strength even just to pedal the last few miles. We didn't know where that wind was going, but we knew it was there and we could feel it. Nicodemus was having trouble understanding Jesus. The talk of winds and spirits was confusing him, but the message was simple. Nicodemus, you need to turn around, you need to change direction. Remember the film Driving Miss Daisy? There's a great moment when Miss Daisy says, "Hoke, you are my best friend." It took her 20 years to say that. You see, Daisy had driven her new car into a neighbour's garden, and Daisy's son decided to pull the plug on his mother's driving. So he hired Hoke, a middle-aged black man. Daisy did not like this change in her life. She was not going to change. Her son may have hired Hoke, but that didn't mean that Daisy was going to use him. And Hoke stood about waiting for the chance to drive Miss Daisy. Miss Daisy took the bus. Hoke was being paid for doing nothing. And that's exactly how Miss Daisy wanted things. Miss Daisy was stubborn, but eventually, indeed, she made the change. One day she needed a few things from the shop. She left the house, she began to walk. Hope decided this nonsense had to end. And as she walked along, he drove along beside her. "Where are you going?" scowled Miss Daisy. Hope said, "I'm going to take you to the shops." Although still not happy, she agreed to get in the car, and her conversion had begun. Hope had become her chauffeur. Whether it was to the synagogue, the shop, visit relatives, Daisy and Hope went together. And the years passed, and the relation between driver and passenger grew. They bonded. The process had been long and difficult, but the conversion was complete when she said, "Hope, you are my best friend." What caused the change? Respect? Regard? Or could it have been that wonderful emotion called love? And that's exactly what Nicodemus was to learn. Join me next week and discover how.